Coming to the theatres on March 22nd is Swatantra Veer Savarkar, the trailer for which is already grabbing headlines. And bringing you this story on the silver screen is Randeep Hooda, who's not only acted in the film but also directed it. So let's go to the man himself to ask more about what this film has to offer. Welcome to Republic, Randeep.
Thank you very much.
I am really intrigued as to whether this is a biopic.
It is a biopic, but I've often find that especially in Indian cinema, that biopics are just about the person. But what I found, because of what Vinayak Damodar Savarkar and his times were very complicated, so I had to create the circumstances in which he became what he did and what he responded to. So as a writer, which I am also on this movie, I was quite astounded by the facts that I found and kind of things that we were not taught in school. It's not a part of a public discourse. There is just a hush, hush, hush about Savarkar. Yeah. And when I was approached as an actor first, I realized, I started reading about him, and I thought I knew Savarkar. I knew about Savarkar. But then I found out Vinayak Damodar Savarkar is a whole story, a whole list of facts, a lot of things that he did, things that he wrote, he's such a big influencer, he was an intellectual giant. And his thought process was so scientific, so modern, and people call him a divisive force. But he created the most unifying Indian political ideology, which was Hindutva, which is basically that if you consider it your ancestors' land, and your land of your languages, of your culture, and if you consider it your holy land, which is this is the land above. Nothing comes above that, like your nation, your country first, and then everything else. Then you are a Hindu. So he described from Sindhu River to Sindhu Sagar. Sindhu Sagar ko bhi Sindhu bolte hain. So from Sindhu River to the sea, anybody who inhabits this land and calls it his ancestral land, his motherland, and his land of his faith is a Hindu. No matter which religion you are, no matter which caste you are, no matter which thing you belong to, which group you belong to. As long as you keep country first, you're a Hindu. And that was such an all-encompassing theory. He was against caste system. He was the guy who made the first Patita Pavan Mandir, which Gandhiji had a song about. But he actually did it. Gandhiji was in fact in the favor of the Varna system, and Savarkarji wasn't. He was a very progressive man, and I was actually infuriated that there is so much there that we are not told about him, and that gave me the vigor and a sense of responsibility to bring it to the fore with facts and creating the circumstances which our country went through. And it was like this. To take one, just to classify someone as something, was just so, it's just so wrong.
Also, a very catchy hashtag there, who killed his story? So
first, the British tried to kill his story they kept him in captivity for 27 years.
Yeah.
11 years in Kalapani, he was sentenced to 50 years to Kalapani. Then he used Sam, Dam, Dandabhe, then he got out of there. Then he was kept for 3 years in the mainland, and then he was in Ratnagiri, almost in a district, kind of house arrest kind of a thing. And he had two conditions, that he cannot participate in anything political or religious.
Okay.
If he does that, he'll be sent back to Kalapani to complete his 50 years. So they feared him so much. Why did they fear him so much?
Is that what you're bringing to the screen?
Yes. And why did they fear him so much? And who killed his story? How come we don't know about it? How come we don't know about the only man who was given 50 years life imprisonment in Kalapani? What was it that they were scared of?
Right.
That's what I bring to fore. And what they were scared of was his influence. He was an influencer.
Yeah, and that is also like a dialogue in your teaser where they say, in one meeting, he sort of convinced us that we are in the wrong.
Yes, he was a very, as I said, he was an intellectual giant. He wrote 1,000 poems in Kalapani in a 7x11 cell. He was made to take oil out of the kolu, and he was beaten, and it was just, I mean, you go to Kalapani, you can't stay in that for 2 minutes in a cell like that. I experienced that claustrophobia.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I said, just lock me inside, and method actor, let me feel it, and it was just too much. I mean, people can't stay without a phone these days for 2 minutes, and imagine living there in that horrendous place without proper sanitation. There was no sanitation.
When I saw the teaser first and now the trailer, you've also undergone a dramatic transformation. In one of the scenes, in fact, you sort of remind me of the Sarabjit transformation.
Well, the biggest preparation always is the mental preparation and the emotional. So it's a lot of reading. I read a lot of books in Hindi, English. I got my Marathi friends to explain me properly because some translations are not so good. So that was the biggest preparation, and not just reading about Savarkarji, but reading about the whole armed struggle that happened, which we are not aware of, which we are not been really, we are aware of. And then came the whole thing of, okay, now I have to look like Swatantra Veer Savarkar. And when I was offered the role, my first question was, but I don't look like him. So we kind of construct how to go about that. But the weight loss was extreme, and also it was extreme because I was a director as well. So I had to be involved in everything. And I was starving most of the time, and starvation makes you irritable. So I was what the new term has been called hangry. I was hangry most of the time. But so was Savarkar. He was a man with a lot of, impatience and short temper as well at times. So all these things kind of gelled together, and because I'd written it became easier for me and to direct other actors and know the story that I was trying to tell.
So right before the elections, this film is coming. There is talk that it is propaganda. And,
obviously, yeah.
What is your response to those calling the film a propaganda?
Well, my response to that is that it's actually anti-propaganda. Because the propaganda that forces have been doing to malign the name of this great giant of a freedom fighter is what I'm going to break with this. I'm going to break the propaganda that has been going around his name and the way he's been discussed and spoken about. And actually, I wanted to release this film on 15th of August last year, on the Independence Day, big Independence Day, freedom fighter movie. But things conspire as they do in movie making that I could not meet that date. And then I even tried on 26th January, but I couldn't meet that date as well for many reasons. So finally it's coming on 22nd of March, and it is just before the election. And maybe that's what God willed.
So in your teaser, you said that if, we followed the path of Savarkar, the freedom would have been expedited by 35 years.
Yes.
Throw some light on that.
There was a lot of underground movement at that time happening. There were secret societies of which Savarkar was a part of, and there were other secret societies which were joining forces from Bengal, from Punjab, from Maharashtra. They were in touch with each other. And then Savarkarji went to London, India House, which Shyamji Verma had opened for students, patriotic students, to come there, study and meet European revolutionaries like Lenin and many such people. So they had started in a big way smuggling guns to India and bomb manuals which they procured through Lenin's help. And armed revolution in Russia was successful. The Bolsheviks overthrew the Tsar in 1917-18, So similarly, India was also poised for that kind of, inko maar ke bhaga denge. He says, itne se hain Angrez. They're so few in number. If you start killing them, you want to scare them out of India. And that was possible. That was very possible. The movement was getting organized and all that. But then nobody supported it. Congress did not support it because Congress was a liaison body formed between the English-educated natives and the imperialists. to counter this very thing of an armed uprising, an armed revolution. And they discouraged it at all times. And then he was incarcerated to Kalapani. And then Tilak ji was arrested and sent to Mandalay. Tilak ji was one congressman who was very aggressive and who was actually Savarkar ji's mentor. So if he had not gone to jail, maybe Savarkar would have been in Congress and then leading Congress into a Sashastra armed revolution rather than non-violence. And then non-violence came about, and the British found a way to keep negotiating, till they had to leave. Their forces were tired, they ran out of money and all that. So I don't know how many, 30, 40 countries were given independence from the British Raj between 1946 and 49. India was one of them. So, but had we kept on with the armed revolution, maybe we would have gotten it earlier, and that's what I'm trying to say.
When you talk about armed revolution, what is your opinion on states being equipped with arms and weapons? There are 2 wars currently ongoing, there's loss of lives, entire families wiped out.
War is a tragedy. War is something that nobody wants, neither a soldier, not the soldier's parents, nobody else. No one wants war. But peace can only happen when both parties or many parties are armed equally. Once they are armed equally, then they will not fight with each other because the damage will be that. So for peace, you need to be armed equally, if not more. Only then can you have peace, and that's my take on it. Conflicts are all not good. Even the horrors of the Second World War, the atomic bomb and all that, that was too much hinsa for even Savarkar ji.
I also want to know, because so much research has gone into the film, from where did this Mafiveer, he was labelled Mafiveer, where did this come from?
I think it comes from just trying to malign him and trying to pick a point in his huge armor and trying to bend facts. He was not a Mafiveer from any side. If he was a Mafiveer, they would have let him go. Na? Why did they keep him inside? Why did they keep him in captivity for 27 years? Because dushman ko kiya hua wada nibhaya nahi jata. And the British knew this. He was very smart. Sam, dam, dand, bhed. So, that mercy petition, which is called mercy petition, is actually bail plea. In any legal system, if you come into the legal system, if you come into the prison system, that is an option open to you legally to fight, to get out, to put your case forward. It was a facility used by many other freedom fighters. In fact, Nehruji was jailed for a very short time in Naba, and you should read Motilal ji's letters to the British to get his son out immediately. And going to Kala Pani and staying there, it's a horrible, hauntingly horrible place. I've been there. So they were the bail pleas which he wrote. He was himself a lawyer. Usually your lawyer writes the bail pleas. He was himself a lawyer, and he wrote it not just for himself, but so many political prisoners in Kalapani. He encouraged them to do it. And so many other people who didn't go to Kalapani also wrote it. So it was a bail plea. He felt that what am I of use to the country locked up in this place? So he wanted to get out, whatever, and so contribute to the country politically, culturally, to the society.
Randeep, my final question to you is, what has been your takeaway from Veer Savarkar, the film?
My takeaway is the alternate history or the hidden facts, omitted history rather, has come to my knowledge, and I have been able to imbibe it and put forth not just the story of Swatantra Veer Savarkar, but the story of the armed revolution in India that happened, in which he played the most important part, which was he inspired people to patriotism and to taking up arms to drive away the enemy.
Thank you so much. All the very best The film comes on March 22nd. All the very best to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.